Good evening, everyone. Time for another silver update. This is the daily chart, and we are still moving higher after hours. You can see that we have crossed over on the MACD. We're on a positive, we have a positive tick here into positive territory. That means the direction is positive of the MACD. It's nowhere near crossing the zero line. Normally your strongest moves actually occur when you cross, such as here. So, but we're at least moving higher with this line. You can see this trend line is still intact, and this support line was never breached. So I called the last time, I said it looked to me like it was putting in a bottom here. Doesn't mean it can't turn around and go lower. Doesn't mean it can't zigzag and form a flag here. But it looks like it's definitely going higher. Of course, there's no reason for it not to go higher. The fundamentals haven't changed. Nothing in the economy has really changed. The economy is sick. It's actually really sick. It's on life support, as Bob Chapman says. And if they pull the plug, everything collapses. And other people think that if they pull the plug, that the whole world will collapse. I'm not of that opinion. I don't think that China will collapse. I don't think India will collapse, and I don't think Brazil will collapse. I think the United States will collapse, and possibly Europe will collapse, but I don't think those others will collapse. So I don't think that the making of cell phones and all the rest of them is going to be halted because the United States goes into collapse. But I don't think they're going to pull the plug and do it. I think they're going to chicken out this time. They tried a deflation scare in 2008. They trashed the financial markets, and I don't think they're going to do it this time. They've already played that card, and I think they're just going to inflate their way out this time. So that's just my opinion, and we'll see what comes of that. This is a really healthy market, still very strong. A lot of noise lately. It's been disturbing to some that some of what had been considered the leaders in the silver YouTube community had suddenly turned bearish. As I've said all along, I'm not bearish. There's really nothing that could make me bearish except for obviously a price that's extremely higher than what it is right now, or a change in the supply fundamentals or the demand fundamentals. But I don't see any of those things changing. I don't see how any of them can change. Like I said, I believe we're going to triple digits and then quadruple digits in the price of silver. I don't think there's ultimately anything that can stop that. But this drama that has gone on in the YouTube community is really sad, because the main point is for people to protect themselves with physical silver. Like I said, they could collapse the system, and we could go into a deflationary depression, the likes of which has never been seen in the history of the world, maybe the Roman Empire or something. But if they do that, you're still going to want your silver. We're not looking at a situation where you're looking, oh no, economies are going to slow down, and therefore my silver is not going to be as valuable because they're going to be not making as many cell phones. That's not what this is about. The deflationary hedge protection of silver and gold is just as strong or stronger than the inflationary hedge protection. This is money that is not anyone else's obligation. It is intrinsic money. It's made that way, and it's money regardless of what anybody thinks. Now, people have gone for years, and countries have gone for years, trying to ignore that fact, and we see the results. They get themselves into ridiculous printing messes and then ultimately collapse. So there's no getting around it. It's a universal law. Gold and silver are money, and now silver is being remonetized by the people, and there's really nothing they can do to stop it. They can only try to slow it down. They can use mental tricks. They can use games. They can use scare tactics. They can use personal attacks. They can use every fallacious argument in the book, but ultimately they will fail. So make sure that you're not one of those people who's tricked into selling your physical silver at this low price. You should still be accumulating physical silver. By the way, I got my silver tacus, and those are some of the most beautiful coins I've ever seen. I think they're out of them now on Gainesville, so if you grabbed them, congratulations, because I don't think you're going to be able to find them anywhere much longer. But I got those for $40. I bought when silver was at $36.80, I think. So I obviously didn't pick the bottom, but I've been wrong about picking the bottom many times. If we go out the weekly, I've pointed out before where I've bought. I did a large amount of accumulation of junk silver during this period, and this breakout here in the summer of 2003 is when I started buying my Eagles, and I bought more at this breakout, and then I bought some more near this top. This one I got in around 15, and they went down. I bought some more at 18, and it really went down. And then of course I backed up the truck right here. So this is when I started buying low, and I bought here. My next purchase was at 25, and my next purchase was right about here at 36.80. So, and I think I'm going to buy again. I'll probably buy again in the 50s, in the 70s, in the hundreds. I'm not going to get as much silver, but I'll be buying all the way up. And when you've been buying this long, you start to forget where you even bought in. It's not about that anymore. It's just about the number of ounces you have. So you just have to keep stacking, and don't let all the scarecrows and all the sky is falling and all the people saying all this stuff about everything coming apart. It's not coming apart. It's just a correction in a bull market, and it has a lot longer way to run from here into triple and quadruple digits. So let's jump over to the SLV. We've got volumes coming back to normal here. You can see we're back down to 50 million daily shares. If you remember, at the peak we traded almost 300 million shares on May 5th. Now what's interesting about this volume is that if you look at the prices here, don't be thrown off by these prices, because the highs, the SLV trades at a discount. That's not surprising because it doesn't have any silver at all. I'm kind of surprised it's trading as high as it is. It should be trading at zero for the amount of silver that it has. That's just my opinion. But you can see this high tick here that we got. It was on April 29th. It was 47.98, and that was on 106 million. We were ramping up into that. We did 189, 125, 155, 180. Looked like it was going to take off, and then it got smacked real hard going into May. Now, what's interesting about this is when you're looking at a top in a market, usually your top spike, this point here, not always, but very often, this spike point is on a tremendous amount of volume. That would normally correlate with this day here, the 300 million, but that's not what we found. Actually, we find that this day here correlates with the low tick right there. This low tick came in at 33.58 and 33.60 on the next day, and we were dropping here at 38, but we put in our biggest volume actually at the bottom. So back to that chart we were looking at, let's look at the volume. The volume came in here. You see? The volume lines up. Volume spike lines up with the bottom of this thing, roughly. My lines are terrible. But a lot of the volume lines up with this. So don't pay attention to this, because that one's angled this way, that one's angled that way. So it's not exact. There's quite a bit of volume here, but then it rounds into this. So That's not what you would expect to see if this was a top. What you'd expect to see is this section moved over about here to coincide with this top. Just a small point, a minor point, but it looks like a lot of buying occurred at about 33 to 34 to 35. So back to the SLV. I wanted to jump over and take a look at our buddy in our option trade and see how he's doing. If you remember, he was in the July puts. He was in the July 25 put. Well, we've got an outstanding interest of 121,000. So the interest hasn't changed. You can see it's churning pretty heavy here. 2,000 traded today. But we're down to 10 cents. Remember, he got in about 9 cents. So this one's going, barring, some ridiculous deflationary collapse, this one's going out worthless, just like 90-something% of them. It was just a flash in the pan. If you rode it up to 60 cents those couple of days and dumped it, yeah, you would have made sixfold on your money. But how many different times could you have bought an option and wait for some big thing to occur and it doesn't occur? So a 600% gain is not nearly going to make up for all of the times that you don't pick that top. So it's not worth it. It's probably just a hedger, and it's back down to where it was. So last of all, I wanted to jump over to the Ted Butler archives. I'll mark this if you don't have it. This is the entire archive of Ted Butler. As I pointed out before, kind of interesting that Ted is really relatively quiet. This is all he's done this year. We're almost halfway through the year. He was relatively quiet in 2010. You look at the past years, you can see, look at 2008, how many articles he wrote. 2007, 2006, 2005, 2004. Now look at this year. So, kind of strange, but great articles. I would recommend that you go back and read the entire thing. The commentary by Israel Friedman is priceless. Israel Friedman is a true believer, a physical silver believer, and he does believe it's going to hundreds and thousands of dollars an ounce. Believes in buying physical silver eagles, and he gives all the reasons. It's really worth your effort to dig through these and find the commentaries by Israel Friedman, because they're really worth it. We're still waiting for a commentary, a new commentary by Ted Butler. I just looked, and I'm looking for a commentary from Jim Willey. I've been out of the loop recently due to a lot of issues, work issues, and a lot of things going on. So I apologize for not keeping updated. I'll try to throw out an update once a day from now on if I can keep up with it. But it looks like we're rising, and I'm not going to project that we're going to turn up and go straight through 50 again. That is a possibility. But if we don't, I think we're going to form some kind of pennant here and ultimately break through and probably run to my projection. My projection is 68 as the next price target. And we'll talk to you next time.